Lauren Freedman is a board-certified health and wellness coach, specializing in a number of conditions, including neurodivergence. Her first approach is capacity-based, which means what her client's body can actually sustain, not what a healthy person's body theoretically could. From there, she builds strategy with healthcare and workplace advocacy, nervous system-informed planning, and practical tools for unraveling burnout cycles without piling on shame.
I have undergone formal training and national board and international certification as well as a health coach. So I trained as a health coach several years ago and then sat for the national board exams, which here in the US are accredited by the National Board of Medical Examiners. And from there have continued to hone my skills in practice and through continuing education, which is also part of maintaining certification. So, and I've also joined numerous professional societies as well, including the Health Coaches of Australia and New Zealand. So it means that I'm able to work remotely, which tends to work the best for all of us who are chronically ill and or disabled, right? And serve clients around the world. So I can work with anyone, anywhere. Coaching is one of these tough ones, right? Because we hear the word coach and I think a lot of us get a little, ooh, because there's snake oil out there. There really is. Excuse me, but the thing about health coaching is that it is an accredited profession and tons of evidence behind it and its utility within healthcare settings as well as outside of those. But we do see an increase in patient or improvement in patient outcomes when patients do work with health coaches in concert with a medical team and their clinician. So being able to help people either put into practice what the doctor has told them to do. Okay, you get diagnosed with, you go and you get your labs drawn and your doctor tells you you've got high blood pressure. How can you work on controlling that yourself while your doctor is prescribing you a medication in the meantime, right? Like, what are the things you can do? Often it's like there are 6 different moving parts and we don't know where to start. So I help people break them down and start with the simplest thing and make it the easiest for themselves to be able to begin to create some of those changes. So yeah, quite varied. It can mean a lot of different things on a lot of different days, but it will work.
Lauren works with clients in several countries. So, how does she cope with varying medical protocols in different countries?
Part of it is the work that I do behind the scenes with understanding these systems in any way that I can and doing my due diligence so that I have an understanding of how the systems function. The other is that I'm lucky I have an understanding of the Aussie system because I've spent lots of time there. I have an understanding of the UK system because I lived there for nearly a decade, right? And I live in the US, so I have an understanding of this system. So in terms of the sort of 3 perhaps largest English speaking systems aside from Canada, very familiar with their inner workings. But if I'm working with someone who's using a different healthcare system entirely, it's down to me to really understand it in the most approachable way possible. At the end of the day, though, any approach to finding the right kind of targeted care in any of these systems is going to be individual. So it's going to be down to the preferences and needs of the person that I'm working with, right? If the person I'm working with wants to be off pharmaceuticals, then we will work on getting them off pharmaceuticals. If they want to take on integrative care and do maybe a mix of Eastern and Western approaches, then we'll do that, right? If they want to take a functional approach to their care and do more in-depth testing and perhaps look more at supplement and nutrition aspects, right? Then we will do that. So it really depends what an individual is looking for and then what their resources are to be able to make these different approaches work for them. And that's stuff I strategize on too with people, right? Is like affording the care in the first place. But it really all comes down to individual need and preference.
Lauren's abilities have evolved over time because of further training. This was influenced through clients' needs.
I think when I first started coaching, I maybe didn't have the best language to be able to describe what I do and support people, which is sort of a stumbling block that I think a lot of coaches come across when they first start. Until you dip your toes in and start figuring out what you still need to learn, then you don't really know what you don't know, right? And I think as I have allowed the clients who have come to me to shape my practice, it's how my practice has become more inclusive, more more focused on the needs of individuals living with chronic conditions and disability, and the neurodivergence piece too, because the neurodivergence piece was one that like I was aware of but wasn't necessarily a key area of focus for me when I started. And it was when I started realizing that everyone who was coming to me was also ADHD or ADHD or, you know, in some way was dealing with some form of neurodivergence, that I was like, okay, I need to learn more about this. And then started understanding myself more deeply, which is often the case, right? And I think the chronic illness and disability piece I always knew would be part of it because that was the patient advocacy work I was doing. I think I was always focused more on the non-apparent chronic illnesses and disabilities. And I think, you know, as time has gone on, the people who I have tended to support have been people who are dealing with the non-apparent sides of that, but it's across the board, really. And you know, if I'm dealing with people who have a particular need and I don't necessarily have the skill set, I'm going to learn about it. For instance, one of the things that I'm studying right now as an additional like continuing education credit thing is about menopause, because I have had so many women of a certain age coming to me, or people with uteruses of a certain age coming to me, who are dealing with dysregulations in various parts of their systems that absolutely relate to the hormonal experience. And so I would be doing myself and those clients a disservice if I didn't learn more about it. So that's exactly what I'm doing, is I'm filling the gaps as I'm supporting my clients and doing the same.